So Abby, Aaliyah, and Brittany, go wait over on those steps up there because you're gonna enter.
So what's gonna happen is that lights they're gonna string lights. These are the platforms which are gonna come out, which is great.
And Kent and Spark.
So they'll be able to enter right here.
How do you say I'm excited in Spanish?
Ah, divertido.
One afternoon, I went to an audition with my mom to a show, and I was pinning on my number, and I remember looking over, and my mom was pinning a number on to Emma. And I looked over at my mom and said, "Mom, what are you doing? You can't do that. You're gonna embarrass Emma. She can't do this." And I remember my mom locking eyes with me and saying, "Kirsty, I have 2 daughters that love musical theater. And so I'm going to have 2 daughters put their best foot forward."
And the nurse put her in my arms, and I looked at her and I said, "I think this baby has Down syndrome."
And I remember thinking, I really need to take the kids out to lunch and discuss this. And I said, "So, this is not something we were expecting." And one of the sons said, "Well, I think it's pretty cool." And then another son said, we were in the automotive business at the time and we used the kids in commercials. He said, "I think it's gonna really mess up our commercials." And I go, "Wow, I can't believe you said that." He goes, "Well, you know." And so, but it was a realistic response. And I thought, here is a future fear. And even one of the kids, and he was about 9 years old at the time, fast forwarding in his mind, this impacts even the appearance of family.
So I knew I loved this child and we were excited to have her, but we didn't understand what the situation would be with her.
8 to 9 out of every 10 pregnancies where a mother finds out their child is going to be born with Down syndrome end up being terminated. When I heard that, it just made me realize, wow, that means there are 8 to 9 out of every 10 older sisters that are not getting what I got. Dang, that sucks for them. Like, there's obviously a lot of variety in my family since there are 12 kids. But without hesitation, you can ask anybody in a family, and there's a jewel of the family, and that is Emma.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, presenting Emma Jeannie Moss! Go right there, not on them. Princess Jasmine, please come on here on the magic carpet.
What do you do now?
I just had your interview, Jasmine. There. Princess Jasmine. Right there. Oh, I have to get in line? Yes. Farrah, your time.
You are the most beautiful princess I've ever seen.
Can I have your autograph? Jasmine? Smile! Thank you! Ooh, picture!
Oh, picture, please.
Put it on the ground, put a rocket to it. I'm just kidding.
My color, please.
Don't color on me.
You're not doing it.
Smile!
I remember getting the cast list for that show and finding Emma's name on the list. The director would pause scenes when we were done and try to get more out of all of the extras in the show. And at one point, I remember the director pausing and saying, okay, everybody, stop. You need to watch Emma, and everybody just needs to stop caring about what they look like and just go all in for it. Emma doesn't have a problem doing that. I need you guys to have more of that livelihood and more of just an all in for the show. And I remember just sitting there and being like, oh my gosh. I tried to not even get her to audition for the show because I put expectations on her that she didn't deserve to have. And I think that that's what happens a lot with society, is that we put expectations on these individuals with intellectual disabilities because we don't want them to be rejected, we don't want them to be hurt, we don't want them to be broken, when they're being hurt and rejected by us not allowing them these opportunities. I don't want to treat them as liabilities to be managed, but I want to see them as assets to be enjoyed in our society. And there is so much that they have to offer that we just have to open our eyes and see and allow them the opportunity to have.
In my mad moments, I really wish Emma would not have Down syndrome, so I could actually say, Emma, please stop doing that. But anything else, I would love her Down syndrome. It means something is special needs with your brain. Yeah, special needs. It's special. I like it. Yeah. If you take the Down syndrome out of Emma, Emma's just one of the 12.
Emma hasn't kept us back. I remember my whole family went bungee jumping, and Emma decided she wanted to go bungee jumping.
You excited?
All right, Emma's getting ready to go here.
Emma, just do this.
Whoa, Emma!
Emma, did you like it a lot?
Oh. No way. I hate it. No.
And she does have imaginary invisible boyfriends.
Okay.
Josh, Bob, and Nicholas.
Josh, one now. Yes, it's my guy. But first day, I don't marry Bob. Her father, I will marry Bob. And that's it. Dylan, that's my friend. Bye, Dylan.
She's a little rude, but still she can apologize.
Okay. Where'd it go?
So she goes on my iPad and leaves mean videos. She's such a perfectionist and she's so into show business. Whenever she does something wrong, when she messes up her line that she planned in her brain to say, she gets so mad. And so I found this video.
You're so mean to me one time. Now you was YouTube about word. And you're not my FFF1. You're You're pretty? You be nice to me. I will run you, Kate. I'm mean to you. You're mean.
Literally hours. We could not stop laughing. And she totally spazzed in the middle of the video. I believe that she thinks I'm nice, but she just wants to get her way because she wants attention. That's her main goal, to get married and get attention. Ew, she's such a diva. A diva.
All my daughters took dance. However, it was difficult because Emma communicates by touch. And so she'd be touching the other girls in class and the other girls would go, ah. So we would get reports after class, and that was very difficult, and that was a disappointing time because you felt like she was getting excluded from being with the other children.
Those girls didn't understand and appreciate that was one of her needs, to communicate. And it was difficult for us to tell her, although we could do that after the fact and say, Emma, you can't touch other girls. That would be like us putting tape over our mouths when we want to be with other people, because she couldn't communicate as clearly with words, so touching is how she always wanted to show people things.
But another 6-year-old doesn't understand that.
I love seeing, kissing. I love it out.
I believe that Emma will live on her own one time, and I believe that she is developing that skill set to do that.
Parrot. Oh, Miss Slayer.
I think that she could even be married. someday. So I
Pam
think
thinks maybe she could be president. But this lady has no limits in that process, and that's good for Emma. I maybe am more the pragmatist. I'd love to see her working perhaps in a retail store or as a hostess in a restaurant, because that's her natural giftedness.
and she will be president of something.
Oh yes, people like me. Hello, Peppa Wessie.
The gap between the child you want becomes smaller so that the child you got is the child you want. And I realized that so much of it is set by the parent's attitude.
I remember one night when we were talking about Emma around the dinner table, and we were really discussing what if we could have kept Emma from being Downs. And one of the boys says, I know this, if somebody could press a button and make Emma not Downs, I'd take them out, because they loved Emma being who Emma is. And I think at that family we recognized we wouldn't be who we were as a larger family had we not had Emma in our lives. So we went from this time of not knowing what to anticipate when she was first born to the time now that whenever we talk about her, we talk about her as the jewel of our family.
When we were doing Annie at Lakeland Community Theater in 2010, all the little girls that were in Hard Knock Life were doing their dance routine, and Emma would come watch those little girls go up on stage, and she just had that passion like they did.
I remember one of the people in the show, Maureen, look over at Emma and say, Emma, do you want to be Annie in this scene? And Emma got up and did the whole New York scene as Annie. And I remember that being so cool and sitting there and thinking to myself, wow, I wish that Emma could do musical theater, but that's not really possible.
I remember Pam coming up to me after rehearsal and asking if there was any way that she could ever get involved. And then I thought, well, yeah, why wouldn't there be? And we put it together. We said we're going to meet on Thursday and opened up the class to anybody who wanted to come. And it was a lot of fun.
We had 8 kids for that first session where we taught dance and acting and social skills and put on a little showcase at the end.
And we've grown. I think we're up to over 60 members, including our volunteers. It is shaped into something that is very sustainable. Now we are doing 2 full-scale productions a year.
Still, the prince has heard that Rapunzel was very nice and very clever and very pretty and very funny and very good at the ping pong. Oh, dearest Rapunzel, will you be my wife? We shall live in a castle happily together. Okay.
I remember after Emma finished her first show, when she was Rapunzel, and watching her just soak in this fact of people liked what I just did for them. I remember her just looking at me and saying, Kirsty, people like me. And just cracking up that like, yes, finally there is an opportunity, there is a place in our community where my little sister, who had faithfully stood for years watching me perform and telling me that people liked me, get to have that turned on herself.
There's nothing like doing a show. You can just put your all into it, and it's a reason to get up in the morning. And to give them that and see that we weren't just dancing and singing and, you know, having a great time, but we were creating art with these people. We were creating something.
My name is Sean Holland. I'm 32. I've been in Out of the Box for 4 or 5 years.
Sean's disability is developmental, no specific diagnosis other than he had brain damage. It's taken some time, but since he's gotten out of school, I think he's developed way more than I expected him to. And it's all because of the help he's gotten along the way with the programs that he is in, especially the theater.
My dream job would be either to be a famous singer or play professional basketball.
How can I put this? He thinks more highly of himself than what the job he could actually do.
My mom has helped me by teaching me stuff that I need to know. I'm going to move out.
He wants to move out on his own, and that makes me feel good about that, but I do worry about how he will manage on his own without me there. I worry about, somebody will hurt him in some way. In high school, he went with... This is hard because there was nothing I could do. He came home one day and told me that such and such got out of jail and was back in class again. And I thought, well, isn't that wonderful? He used to be the smiling, happy boy, and he turned into kind of depressed, and he learned very bad language at that point, and that was hard too. Things have changed for the better, from what I understand, listening to other parents now. Generally, he just watches TV, he plays video games, he'll go to the park. The society's way of looking at Sean has been like he's invisible. They might look at him and then they look away. They just tolerate them. At certain points in his brothers' lives, they were a little bit embarrassed by him, I believe. When he was little, he tried to be something he wasn't and tried to fit in, and he couldn't. But the theater is really what has brought out the most in him. He actually speaks to people now, and I think he's realizing too now that he has a place and this is who Sean is, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about.
My least favorite thing about myself is I can't think of any.
It's amazing what they can accomplish. And I think as parents, we probably hold them back a little. We all agree that we're probably a big stumbling block in how far they can go because we're just so used to being with them, and that it takes somebody else to introduce us to your child can do this.
So do you want to know what show we're doing?
Yes.
We have the rights from, it's called A Pocket Full of Plays. It's the lady who wrote Stone Soup for us, and she wrote The Dinosaur Show. This show is called A Day at the Circus.
Casting the show is a really interesting and neat process. It's very cool, and it's been very fun to be able to plug these guys into these roles. And there are issues, with copyright things because you can't change lines in plays. I've had contact with a few playwrights who I've been able to use their plays, and they are fine with us changing just a few things so that it fits to the troupe. As programs like this grow around the country, there will be a need for people who can write shows for the special needs community because they can do it. It's just got to be out there, and there's not that much out there.
You ready to work a little harder this time?
My name is Lauren. I'm 25.
My name is Ryder. I'm 22.
We've been in Out the Box for 2 years.
Lauren has a lot of fiancés. A lot.
All the guys I've been engaged to are jerks.
Lauren goes away to school at 19, and first thing they do is have boyfriends and girlfriends because they've missed out on that and watched everybody else experience that, but they don't know how.
Him and I have been dating about 2 weeks. He decided to pop the question. I accepted. I don't keep snake brooch from my mother.
Yeah.
I told her. She flipped out. She called Dad. And then we got pulled out of school.
I would just remind her that I have guns.
The guy kept calling my sister, like, oh, we can't do this. I have more better friends than you. I heard it, I got the phone, like, you do not talk to my sisters like that. If you want to talk to someone, talk to me. If you do that again, I will come over there and beat you. Because no one hurt my sister like that.
He's very protective.
Yeah.
I got to meet Zaka from Thanks to the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
It's very nice.
And
Very
that's
friendly.
Very
why
hot.
You'd ask Ryder to kind of hang back because it was Lauren's special day, but Zach wasn't going to have any of that. He went over and got Ryder and brought him into the midst of everything, showed him how to do the peace out thing. One of the little girls was a little person, and she had a dog, so he got down on the ground, and he just had his makeup done because they were getting ready to do the scene and everything.
We were talking once or so fun. Who gets to kiss him first?
Nobody did, because the dog did.
The dog took that opportunity away from us.
The very first part of the journey was them in the hospital all the time. That was probably the roughest.
Lauren is an infant. We're having to put an NG tube through her nose into her stomach every other night, hooking her to an IV pole.
One night it went horribly wrong, and I ran out of the house crying and got in the car and left. Because I just didn't know how to handle it any longer, and he had to end up calling a friend of ours that was a nurse to come over. We thought, if they're not going to live for very long, we're going to try and just do as much as we can and kind of cram it into as many years as we could. We definitely have more patience. We have kinder hearts, more resilient, more flexible people because of them.
We call it the Model syndrome. It's been undiagnosed for so long that we've coined our last name as the name of the syndrome. The last time we saw Genesis, he put our DNA into the IDD, or International Diagnostic Database, to see if any other kids in the world had the same chromosomal mutations that our DNA does. There were no matches whatsoever. No one else in the world has what we have but the two of us. We've also been studied by Harvard. It's more physical than it is mental. The cerebellum scientifically is the very back part of the brain that the brainstem is connected to, that basically controls motor function and balance. For us, it doesn't work well.
It was like you tap one of us,
we fall in single file. We're like toy soldiers.
Yeah.
Doctor said, oh, she'll never walk. The first geneticist that saw me when I was a baby told my parents she has trichocephaly, that I died within a week. He didn't see much hope. Of course, my mom kind of believed that because of all the problems I had. I proved them wrong eventually. I learned to walk, and I took my first step on my own during Christmas. I was 4. If I walk or run, I look like a duck. You do too.
Yes.
I feel that I could be myself despite my disability without caring what other people think. When someone tells me that I can't do something, I look them in the face and say, you're wrong. I may look different, but my disability doesn't define me, doesn't define who I am or what I can do. It may limit what I can do, but I don't let it control my life.
She had written a paper about working in a children's hospital when she was 10 years old. And then at 20, she has this job in a children's hospital. It's like she made her dream come true, you know?
I left for college. My parents moved me in. They were like, come home. I'm like, hi. It was my first taste of freedom without having mom and dad always with me.
It was really hard. Because I felt like we had done so much for her up to that point. I'm thinking, how's she ever going to even get up and get to class on time and get dressed without me there? You know, I just thought there was no way. And
trying to figure out where you cut the ties, how much independence can you give them, their safety. It's really similar to what a lot of parents are going through, but it's on a different level.
To take chances on letting them do things like cut with a knife and jump into the pool and those kind of things, because those are the things that make life real and fun. The tendency is to want to protect them, but if you allow them to be children and experience life, that tends to help the child and the whole family.
We thought we would have them for the rest of their lives in our home with us, and they've proven that they're capable of much more than that. Their happiness lies in them accomplishing things. We're doing our best to just kind of facilitate where it's needed at this point, and so it's kind of independence for both of us, for them and for us. I remember when she graduated from that program just thinking, oh, she's proved everybody wrong, everybody. I'm not going to underestimate her again. I'm so proud of the young woman that she's become, and she influences a lot of the other girls with disabilities around her to think that maybe they could live on their own and maybe they could be independent.
We all have that desire to be independent, and when he got the chance to have a paid job, he just really embraced that.
I remember his first job review from his boss. And he brings home this review that any parent would be proud of. It's glowing. It talks about how friendly he is, how hard he works. You read that and you're just so excited that this is what any parent wants to see their child accomplish. They find a job that they like, the boss loves having them around.
A good work ethic.
It's a great work ethic, right?
In fact, he got Employee of the Month along with his coworker.
Lauren, of course, she really wants to work, but we don't know who will hire people with disabilities.
I'm hoping to have a job where I work with special needs kids. Most people would think, oh, a special needs adult can't help other special needs kids because they have disabilities themselves.
Nobody can make them feel bad about who they are, that they were some sort of mistake or freak of nature. They were intended to be exactly who they are. They have an amazing purpose to fulfill in this world just like any other person does.
God made me, and I'm special to Him and the world that doesn't know what I am or what am I. It's a special kid, but again, that doesn't make you weird or different.
Finding instructors seems difficult. At first they're, oh yes, I play piano or I'm good at this, but I've never worked with special needs people before. Are you sure I'd be okay? And then by the end of the first class, they're hooked. You just see so quickly that they're human beings. They're the same as you and me. There's nothing to be afraid of. And then we have somewhere in the teens of high school volunteers right now, and they're so important.
One of the most wonderful things about the Out of the Box program is the typical kids, which we call TKs. And the TKs work with our kids, and then they realize that our kids are just like anyone else, just different in a certain way.
We have a lot of kids with egos. It's the theater, so this experience for them is humbling in a good way. I've seen them really have to stop and think that I'm a teenager, but I'm not the only performer in this world. Yes, I'm a talented young person. I can sing, I can dance, I'm great on stage, but I could use this to help somebody else. When that light bulb goes off, they're hooked. We've got some TKs and troop members who also go to high school together, and when I overhear them talking and saying, oh, at lunch this happened, and I know that they're sitting together at the lunch table organically, and it's because they met in Out of the Box. It's not like they had to have lunch with a special buddy today or something. That's who they want to sit with, and that is just, you couldn't ask for anything better.
I'm Jimmy. I'm 48 years old. I've been in Out of the Box 3 years.
I like to start from the beginning. He was also shy when I walked up and shook his hand. He said his name very quietly.
I didn't expect to see some beautiful playing basketball to begin with.
I got called names in school. It's because everything I had seizures.
If I can tell the world one thing is, if you treat other people nice, they will treat you nice because they deserve to be treated right.
That was the year I was doing a tango with him. Jimmy was my gift. I just came out of, I just say it like freedom.
I actually did a lift in the tango. Really. There was a trick to it though. I had to put my arm around her waist and she put her arm on my shoulder. We were practicing and there was a photographer and a reporter there to watch us rehearse the dance. And on that Saturday, our picture was in the paper. Yeah, we've been together over a year now. I've never been happier.
I'm hoping he will find a job one day. One time in downtown, I had to take his hand and go get him something to eat. He was hungry.
Yes. She could see it by my eyes.
I'm pretty good upon eyes when someone's hungry. It's hard for a person with a disability to find a job. There's hardly anywhere hiring right now.
I've applied for several jobs, but I haven't found one yet. I'm just hoping somebody would hire me. The hardest part about dating is we live on opposite sides of town. It's a bit of a drive if I have to pick her up.
Together we eat dinner at my place, we cook together.
I've cooked a couple meals myself.
He is a good cook. Also, I'm gonna tell it, okay, what you do.
I play the guitar. We've been working on this song here off and on.
Friendship makes a good relationship. Seeing someone a lot, getting to know them, make sure you're dating enough.
Communication, because if you run into a problem, we talk things out, get things straight, try to explain what I said, what I think, and it works both ways.
We're doing a speech. Something kind of just spoke to me from my heart. With all these people with disabilities, and some people ain't treating them right.
I'm very proud of Jessica, what she's done in my life, what she's about to do to make a difference for these kids and people with disabilities who are not being treated right.
And same thing with nerd kids, regular kids too. It's also for someone else. It's a friend of me and his, but I knew him since high school.
He has speech problems and he can't speak for himself, so what we're trying to do is speak for him because he needs all the help he can get.
I see Jimmy and Jessica, who their lives have completely changed. Jimmy told me one time that he now feels like he has a purpose to his life, that he's been searching for a job, searching for something to do, and to give him that opportunity to finally discover that, it must feel amazing to be able to finally do what you want with your life. Where we live, once they get into their early 20s, they do age out of the school system. And that would probably be the only place where they could have some type of performing arts outlet. There are wonderful programs in town for sports, but I think if I had been born with Down syndrome or if I was autistic, I would still be artsy. I would still want to perform. I wouldn't want to have to be on a basketball team because I wouldn't be any good at it, but they can't just all, oh, you have special needs. Well, there's bowling, but a theater program is much needed.
It gives me a sense of freedom to embody the character of who I'm playing. It's a chance for a lot of us special needs young adults to show our funny side.
For every special needs person that you see, there are people that you don't see that don't have that opportunity, and I want to reach those people too.
Okay, I'm Brittany Lee Harvey. I'm 30 years old, and I was out of the box for like 5 or 6 years. Well, it was fun to write a book. Before I wrote it, my own boyfriend, Jeremy, well, he was encouraging me to write my book before he wrote his.
Doctors said that she wouldn't do a lot. So of course you get kind of sad thinking, well, now I have this child that's not going to be able to be like normal children. I started getting her involved in the early interventions and speech therapy and everything that was available for her out there. I should have just calmed down because she was gonna do good. It's just that I didn't know.
But I do work for Publix Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, and I do volunteer here at Fisty. And my parents, they want me to be independent.
I started this job about 7 years ago, and Brittany came shortly thereafter. I would say the difficulties, to even use that word, with Brittany working here are more about me. Admittedly, I don't have a great deal of patience. Brittany has taught me that over the years. I apply the lessons that Brittany has taught me to other volunteers. She's the ideal volunteer. She's dedicated, she's loyal. Brittany has an ability to focus on things that might be boring to somebody else, and that makes her an asset to our team. People might look at Brittany and say, well, she can't do what normal people can do. And she can. She can run circles around what normal people can do. I hate that word normal, but what people, who don't have intellectual disabilities can do. Everybody has their talent.
When I grow up, I want to be an office worker. I can tell you where Jeremy and I met at. We met at George Jenkins High School at lunchtime. He came by to sit next to me. He bowed down one knee and asked me to go out, and I said, yes, I will. So I went to that first prom. We love to delegate too with other people who have Down syndrome like us.
She is a determined child from day one. She's determined that she's doing whatever everyone else does. With Jeremy, they have this dream that they're going to get married and live happily ever after, and that's kind of a fear for us a little bit. We don't quite know what her future holds.
It's been 6 years now, almost 7 next month. We got engaged on my birthday. They had a meeting before we got engaged. God answered my prayer that I want to be engaged by him, and so Jeremy did it. He found one need again and asked me to marry him, and I still love him. So
I want her to have the life that she dreams to have, and if that is with Jeremy, then us as parents, we have to get together and just figure it out for him, how we can make that happen.
I just want other people to read my book and to know who I am and to accept who I am now. Other people have Down syndrome like me. I just want them to be known and to write their books and to be an author.
When Brittany became a volunteer, I started reading. I read Brittany's book. I started there. I would say the number one issue is ignorance. And when people don't know, they're scared. So they avoid it because I don't know how to deal with this person because I've never encountered a person like this. We have a lot of volunteers here who are elderly themselves. You know, the longer you've been around, the longer those preconceived notions about people get ingrained. And so to see her presence teach others that may have had different ideas, to see those people change their misconceptions is really a neat thing to observe.
In about 4th, 5th grade, the school called. She had gone down to the clinic. She said, call my papa. Papa came to pick her up, and he said she was very, very sick when he walked in. They get inside the car, and Brittany says, Papa, let's go swimming. He says, Brittany, we can't go swimming. You're sick. Remember, she says, oh, no, I feel much better now. So she's a smart little girl. She had a very hard time with her papa because he was the first one that passed away.
He taught me how to bowl and swim. When people in my family passed away, that really makes me sad. I'm not talk about it right now.
I had to actually get her some counseling to help her to accept the fact that he was gone because they were so close. The counselor was so amazing with Brittany and told her to write stories to her papa. And every day she writes to her papa. Then when her uncle passed away just a couple of years ago, I was worried that it was going to be another counseling session, but she did amazing.
I know all parents have that fear that somebody's going to be mean to their kid or make fun of their kid. But there are people out there that are going to love their child for who they are and appreciate them for everything that they have to offer. Probably 3 weeks ago, I had a day with Brittany where I needed to teach her something new on the computer. And I was in a huge hurry. There were a million things going on. So I sat down with her and I went through it slowly and methodically. And then I asked her to show me what I just taught her to do. And she did it. She did it like no questions, done. I texted my husband and I said, I just taught Brittany how to do something new and she got it like that. And I am so proud of her. I was just beaming because I was so proud at how quickly she caught on and was ready for me to get out of her way and get it done. That's what I would tell parents. You know that you're gonna love your kid and you're gonna love them more than anything in the world. A kind of love that you can't even understand or describe until you have it. But somebody else is gonna love your kid too.
Sometimes I'll get a call from a friend because they have gotten a phone call from their doctor that said they were going to have a Down syndrome child. And they'll call me after the baby's been born and say, Pam, this baby doesn't even have Down syndrome. This is just a typical baby. And I've had that happen more than one time. Don't be afraid of that which you don't know or understand.
If someone is like taking someone a kid with Down syndrome away because I figured that out when they were just born, I'd say don't do that because without Emma there would be probably no fun or it would be horrible.
I think as a high achiever, it's easy to undervalue what funniness and joy does. Keeping things light is just good for your well-being. I remember growing up, looking at my little sister's life and just saying, How does she enjoy life so much? She gets one of the best qualities of life that I've seen anybody get. She doesn't really have a down day. I get really easily upset and offended, and she just like bounces back, and people treat her terribly. And so I remember I started to say, okay, how can I be more like Emma?
If you think you're going to have a perfect child, I have news for you. Every child has issues.
I don't know. I can't think of a difficulty in it to say that he was any more difficult than any of the other kids. So would I rather Sean not have had the disability? I'd have to say yes, because nobody wants their children to be hindered in any way, but it really doesn't matter.
If my grandpa and grandma were selling Emma and they didn't want Emma anymore, I'd be like, hey, I can still take care of Emma. I'll make her chicken nuggets. I know how to work the microwave.
Our lives are incredible because of Emma.
I couldn't imagine Brittany not in our life.
Sean is priceless. He is.
If you don't want a kid with Down syndrome, you could probably just put it up for adoption. Like, I was adopted from Russia. Hudson, you were adopted from Russia as well. You say, oh, someone was wanting a child. Here's a child. What? I read it in my book. You would still have a memory in your life, and a happy memory instead of a sad memory. So, yeah.
There were 5 to 6 other little girls in the neighborhood. They would all run around together, and they would go from one girl's house to another girl's house, and they so kindly included Emma in it, and that was such a joy. But I knew that the day would come when those girls would be growing up and would no longer do that.
She never fails to make me laugh or smile.
Yes, Sophie. Yeah.
And now that we've gotten older, we've kind of all like drifted in, went our separate ways.
And that's true in lots of friendships. It's true in other friendships with our kids. It's just that we knew some of that was because she wasn't like them. And sometimes when I have seen that and it hurts my heart, I look at Emma and it hardly ever hurts hers because she just works around it.
I'm not sad. I'm happy.
So Abby, Aaliyah, and Brittany, go wait over on those steps up there because you're going to enter.
Some people will say, all kids with Down syndrome are just so sweet. Well, very often. But if you say that, then it's like saying all people of another category have this certain characterization. So I think that maybe just leaving that door open and letting people figure out what the individuals are like is best.
I've been practicing the lines. I'm not nervous.
No, I'm not nervous. We never had to deal with stage fright.
I'm not nervous at all.
The public, they kind of turn a blind eye to us. We are kind of looked down upon as being kind of
Weird.
less human.
Society seems like it always has that mentality that someone needs to be on top. And in order to do that, somebody has to move down the line.
People these days are being treated wrong.
Our students are pushed aside, ignored, attacked. We went into a small store and the students were walking around and they were looking at things. The owner said, can you have them maybe step outside? And I was just aghast because my students were having great behavior. It's a preconception that the students might be troubled, there might be problems. So she wanted to avoid that for her other customers. There may be some truth to having a disability, but then there's also encouragement that we all have disabilities and we can move on.
I've been in banking for years, and people, they walk in and you think they don't have a cent to their name, and you open their account and they're well off. When our children walk into a door, don't just assume that they have Down syndrome and they can't do anything.
I think there is a desire in individuals to help. They just don't know how.
They have feelings too. So, the being shunned and ignored is...
They just stare and stare and stare, and to the point it's just so rude. So I find myself wanting to stare back at them. I mean, they may not love them just at first sight, but get to know them. I don't know, it's just like they're not worth the trouble, and that hurts.
Okay, you look at me weird. I have special needs. Maybe you have special needs. It doesn't matter what I look like. And I don't care if you're weird or why is the kid in here. I'm just like you.
These are people. That means they have common human desires, like to belong. Just noticing them does more for them than we could imagine.
I want strangers to treat me as I am. Well, I just don't want them to think I'm not smart, but I am smart.
We're both at like, oh, how would they help us? When in truth, we can show the public how we can help society if only they give us a chance.